What is up, Fit Fam? Coach Jay coming to you live for another mindset message. So, we've talked a lot about the 3 C's, about perspective. We've talked about gratitude. We're going to talk about something a little bit different today. And when you hear this, some of you are probably going to say, nah, that's not right. Nah, that can't be true. But there's a lot of science-backed information onto this. And I really want you to think about what I'm saying and think about taking it to heart, okay? And that is that there are really only 2 major things that dictate your outcome in life. Whether that be in the gym and the results that you get physically or mentally, whether that be the prosperity that you have financially, whether that be the relationships that you have with friends, families, or loved ones, there's really only 2 things that ultimately dictate your outcome and your success. And that is the thoughts that occupy your mind and the people that you surround yourself with. Right? So now let's start talking about the thoughts that occupy this guy up here. Okay? I forget what the exact number is, but I've heard 50,000, I've heard 80,000, I've heard more than that. That you have 50 to somewhere of 100,000 thoughts that run through your mind each and every day. Now, what's really upsetting is that for most people, a majority of those thoughts are actually negative. We're spending the majority of our time and the conversations in our head being negative with ourselves and how we view the world, right? That takes it back to the 3 mindset messages we talked about previous to this. Now, what I want you to start doing is I want you to stop listening to yourself and I want you to start talking to yourself, right? I know for me personally, when I was a kid, I was the king of talking back to my parents and not listening to them. But yet when it comes to the conversations in my own head, I'm very good at just listening and taking every single thing my brain says to heart. So step number 1 is just being aware and being conscious of those thoughts that you are actually having, right? And then when you have those thoughts, I want you to not just listen to them, but I want you to instead flip the script and talk to yourself. So if you hear a negative conversation going on inside your mind, if you're having a very negative or stressful thought, instead of just taking that to heart and that thought is what it is, I want you instead to flip the script and talk to yourself and say, hey, Jared, you know what? That's not the truth. That's not how the world is. You know what? Amanda, who's my partner, she didn't mean it that way, and instead of just listening to those conversations, talk to yourself. So that's important lesson number 1, okay? Start thinking about those thoughts that occupy your mind. Number 2 is the people that we surround yourself with. Now, maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't, but there's a very famous quote out there that says, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And now when I heard this, I was even skeptical. I started to think about all my friends, and you think about, well, I'm an accountant, and that's why I hang out with accountants. I'm a soccer player, that's why I hang out with soccer players. But it's almost like that chicken before the egg, right? Are you a soccer player because you hang out with those people? Or do you hang out with those people because you're a soccer player? Or are you really financially well off and that's why you hang out with those people? Or did starting to hang out with those people help you become financially well off? Do you have an issue or problem, with maybe drinking too much? And are you drinking too much because you hang out with those people? Or do you hang out with those people because you drink too much? So I really want you to start becoming aware of this. And to be honest, over the past few years of starting this business and really starting to focus on my mindset and my surrounding, I started to control the people that I let into my life. And ever since I did that, my life has only become more vibrant and gotten better, and I've gotten closer to my goals, right? And it doesn't mean that you need to completely cut ties. You don't need to reach out to a friend that you realize may be negative for your life and say, hey, you know what, John? You're just really negative and we got to stop being friends. No, you don't need to do that. But what you can do is you can control the narrative. You can control the environment in which you place yourself in with John. Let's say John is that friend that always forces you to have that extra drink and you want to stop drinking as much. Well, rather than going to a bar with John, why don't you do something else? Go golfing, even though I know golf has a lot of alcohol involved with it lots of times, but do something other than going to the bar, right? Control that narrative. For some people, it even means that we need to control the narrative in the environment if we have negative family members that don't believe in us, that don't support us and bring ourselves down. So again, guys, I really want you to take this to heart. When I first heard this, I was skeptical, but as soon as I started, really thinking about the thoughts that occupy my mind and the people that I surround myself with, I started to improve my life and become a happier, healthier version of myself. So that is our mindset message today. Start talking to yourself and not listening to yourself, controlling the thoughts that occupy your mind. And number 2, start taking control of the people that you let into your life. And those 2 things alone are going to have a huge, major impact on the outcome of your life. Thanks, guys.